Hello, everybody, and welcome to the United Stand. It's Manchester United against Liverpool tomorrow, and I'm joined by Craig from Anfield Agenda to discuss this game. But more importantly, I want to get into Solskjaer at the start because I think you get the honesty from the rival. How are you doing, Craig?
I'm good. I'd be lying if I said we weren't coming into this game in good form, and I don't think, maybe it's the right time to play United. Maybe it isn't, but I'm good, man. I'm good.
I think Liverpool against United, we'll get into that. I think it's a derby. I don't think, as we've discussed many a time, I remember United being on top of the world, Liverpool coming to Old Trafford, we're the favourites, and, anything can happen in a game like this. The question I want to ask you first off is, would you want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to be sacked as Manchester United manager on Monday morning if you beat us?
I mean, the longer he's in the job, the better, as far as I'm concerned, on my side. And look, I'll be really honest about this, Mark. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer rocked up to Old Trafford without having played for Manchester United and put that CV across the table, that's going in the not even getting an interview pile. Let's be honest about it. And look, every young manager has to make his way, but I think the general consensus is, and we spoke about this before as well, is he has a plan A, and when plan A doesn't work, it's let's just empty the bench of all the attacking talent at his disposal and pray that somebody pulls something out of the bag. So, look, would I be more worried if Conte came through the door? Yes, of course I would. Absolutely. I'd be lying if I said anything else. For me on the outside, leave Solskjaer where he is. But if I was a United fan, there's no excuse. You've got the bodies, you've got the personnel there now. It can only be the lack of quality coaching if he doesn't succeed.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think you always get, even though we don't want to get it, you get the truth from rivals. And I think that when we had Fellaini in the team, I couldn't stand him. And Liverpool fans would say, I hope you're going to play Fellaini. And you'd be like, that means he's shit. If rival fans don't want him there, like for me, I'm not going to say, I hope Salah plays against us on Sunday because I know he's bloody good. And if you said to me, would you sack Klopp tomorrow if you were a Liverpool fan? Well, yes, I would. I'm not a Liverpool fan. So, of course, I want I'd love there to be some, Klopp gets caught with he's nicked a load of sweets from Tesco and gets arrested. He's got to do time. I'd love it because he's a good manager. And if Klopp's sacked or suspended, that makes you weak. But this is the thing. I've never spoken to a rival manager who said, they just want Ollie in. They just want Ollie in. And it's a bit like when you had Roy Hodgson. Nice guy, but I was gutted when you sacked him.
It's so difficult, though, because I can understand the goodwill. Of course I can. And it's my biggest dream and my biggest fear at the same time that Gerrard eventually takes the reins at Liverpool, because legacy, and you just don't want that to be dampened. And look, I'm old enough to remember Solskjaer in his pomp and coming off the bench and scoring important goals and, the smiling assassin, the based assassin. I remember all of that, but I honestly, hand on heart, mate, no anti-United bias or anything. I don't understand how he got the job, and I'll never understand it.
Yeah, well, I think he got the job because he came in and did a good job for a little bit of time. That's what it was all about. But I think also it's just so telling. I mean, look, the United fan base at the moment are locked in this argument about whether Ollie's the right man or not the right man. For me, it's about standards. We've spoken about that on Anfield Agenda, so I don't want to go on that again. But it is about standards. And I look at what Liverpool are doing, what Man City are doing, what Chelsea are doing. I look at the squad that we've got, and we're already talking about fourth place in the Europa League. That's not good enough in year 3. And rivals want this man to stay. And I've done this with Arsenal. I wanted Wenger to stay. I wanted Hodgson to stay. And it's you get the truth from rivals. If they were saying, oh, yeah, I'd love you to sack Solskjaer, that means they think Solskjaer's good. If they want Solskjaer to stay, it means they don't see him as a threat. But before we get into the match as well, obviously you're old enough to remember, this emotional thing is very difficult. And I have to look at both sides. And there's a really good example with Liverpool. There is an emotional attachment. We've seen it with ex-players. We see it with some of our fans. I'm emotionally attached. I've probably given Solskjaer more of a leeway. I've definitely given him more of a leeway than I did Mourinho and Van Gaal. But I'm just got to say now, the standards are not where they need to be and the football is confusing. You had this with Kenny Dalglish, who is a much bigger legend than, he's one of your biggest legends. This would be like Brian Robson or, Sir Bobby Charlton if he'd been manager. These are huge legends. I mean, Ollie is a legend, but Kenny Dalglish is a huge legend for Liverpool, probably one of the biggest. He came back after Hodgson. And how was that for the Liverpool fan base? Because this is an insight into what what's best for the club, even when you've got the biggest legend. Because people didn't openly say they wanted him sacked, but they did realise that this wasn't the Kenny Dalglish of old, and this wasn't going to be where you needed to go.
Yeah, I think the only difference there is that it became apparent to the owners that his stewardship had been done. His race has been run. He was brought in to put some goodwill throughout the club, obviously because he's been a manager before as well, and to steady the ship. And when the ship was steadied, that's when the club looked, and look, you'll talk to Liverpool fans who will say they didn't like how he was treated and how he was fired or moved upstairs, and that's completely understandable. But at the same time, I think it was the right decision ultimately, because it led us on the path to, get Jurgen Klopp eventually. And, the Hudson days, Mark, they were tough. I won't lie to you, mate. Seeing Paul Konchesky, Christian
you were great. You should have kept
Milan Jovanovic. Oh, even looking back at Joe Cole, who apparently on the training pitch, according to Gerrard, was like Messi, but I don't know where to go with that. But yeah, look, it's difficult. And the emotional attachment is there because you really want them to do well. You really want them to do well. I'm sure it would have made you more than happy if Solskjaer delivered title number 21.
Yeah, it would have done, definitely. I don't know why we've just lost the overlay there. We're stuck as a 2 again now, which is weird. I don't know what's going on with that. It's just changed. I'm finding this very easy. Someone's saying don't change the overlay. Just leave it alone. It was absolutely fine. Anyway, I think it's great what you say there, because with you've just said there with Dalglish, he was brought in to steady the ship and give the club a boost. This is what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should. This is the same thing. He has come in and steadied the ship and given the club a boost. And I'm amazed that nobody, again, in mainstream media can be bothered to do some research on these big, great clubs, because there are echoes here. I think Ole is almost becoming that Dalglish, where there's a massive amount of sentimentality. Nobody wants to be shouting Ole out, but you feel he's taken him as far as we can go. But we'll see. The Liverpool game. Go on. I
think interestingly at Newcastle as well, you hear people talking about Newcastle and the takeover, and I think they're probably 2 to 3 managers away from being in the Champions League places. I think that their evolution is going to be interesting to see as well. And Fonseca, that's a roll of the dice if that goes through.
Yeah. Be interesting. Anyway, Liverpool, Manchester United at the weekend. The reason I started off on Solskjaer is because it's really interesting as to how that's going to work out, because I really hold on a minute. Let me just change that back there. We'll do it like that.
Of course.
Yeah, apparently it's because they're live on another stream at the moment while we're recording this. So effectively, what I was going to talk about is the game on Sunday, and it's massive. It's massive anyway, because Liverpool, I presume you're quite happy with the start to your season, actually. Many Liverpool fans have said to me, we've been disrespected this season. Nobody's tipped us for the title or anything like that. And my argument, before you have your say, would be, it's not disrespect. I know Liverpool can win the league. They won it 2 years ago. The reason I didn't pick Liverpool for the league is because I thought it was a bit of the unknown. Had such a bad year last year. Van Dijk's injury. How affected would Liverpool be from being a team that could beat anybody to losing a load of games? That can impact on you mentally. So I don't think anybody's sleeping on Liverpool. I think people didn't predict Liverpool because it was like, well, what are Liverpool going to be this year? And I'm not surprised you're up there. But, in relation to your season this season, do you genuinely feel you're back? You can fire and go for the title?
100%, but I think, look, I didn't tip us for the title either at the start of the season. I thought we'd be there or thereabouts, but I think with the squad that we have, I think it's fair to say that the first 14, no debate, they're as good as any squad in the Premier League. After that, we are going to have to get a little bit fortunate with injuries and things like that. We spoke about the AFCON and Anfield agenda, and I hope that common sense prevails with that and that we don't lose the guys for too many games. But for us, it's going to be about injuries. If we can keep the squad together and injury-free, relatively injury-free, we will be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. And I think it's arrogant for anyone to say we're going to win the league, because Chelsea, United, City, Liverpool, it's going to be a much closer race than previous seasons. And I think we're in for a roller coaster this year. And I'm really looking forward to it, Mark. I have to say, I think it's going to be a belter of a Premier League campaign.
I'd love to say that about United's season. I was there about 6 weeks ago. Now I think it'd take a miracle just to be in a title race, which is really sad because that's where we should be. I've said this so many times. I can do it blindfolded. 1 point from 9, 14 from 24. That's a crap start to the season because we've not really played anybody decent. We really haven't. We've not played any of the traditional top 6, and now we're going to be playing 3 of them. And we've still got Arsenal and Spurs, Chelsea to come after the next international break. If we lose to you on Sunday, I've said it. The great and bad thing about what we do is once you've said it, the clip's there. So I've already said it that if we lose to Liverpool on Sunday, I probably will be Ollie out. Not in the sense where I'll go get him out and all that, but I will be probably saying, I think I will be saying, he's not the right man because I can't believe he is the right man. If he takes 1 point from 12 and nearly half of the points from the season, it'd be 14 from 27, which is just dreadful. And that's the scary thing. It's a massive game for us. How do you feel coming into it as a Liverpool fan? Because you win the next few after that. You've won the loads before that. A draw's not a terrible result.
I think the opportunity, though, to stick 7 points between us at this part of the season and really, keep pace with Chelsea as well, which is important. Chelsea and Manchester City, we've got to keep an eye on them because, the battle, obviously, you want to finish above United in the league table every season. But now we're at a point in our development as a club where I want us to be challenging for those Premier League titles. So you go into Old Trafford with the form that you're in, it's no gimme. No Manchester United Liverpool games ever a gimme either side. The crowd's going to be right up for it. The players have got a little bit of a pep in their step after that comeback win against Atalanta, and you can never call these games. It's form goes out the window. It's a cliche, but it's true. So look, would I take a point at Old Trafford? No, I've got to be honest, mate. I wouldn't at this moment in time because we've had a draw with Brentford, which we probably should have won. Well, I say we should have won on paper. We should have won. I feel like against a very good, dogged 10-man Chelsea, that's probably 2 points we potentially let slip at home. So if we really want to keep pace with Chelsea, and this is not really about United, more about us, I think we have to go there and try and get the win, particularly with the AFCON coming up and the loss of Mane, Salah and Naby Keita for that. So I think we've got to get the points on the board as early as we can.
Well, especially because Chelsea have got the freebie this week. Even I think we'd beat Norwich at home. So Chelsea got Norwich on Saturday lunchtime. It's a freebie, isn't it? They're going to get 3 points, and you don't want gaps to start appearing this side of Christmas. And also, I mean, look, I hate to say this. I'm very frustrated as a United fan at the moment. I'm just very frustrated. I think the standards are on the floor, and I think some of our fans are celebrating that and not seeing that. And we can all sing Ollie's at the wheel. I've not sung Ollie's at the wheel for about 2 and a bit years because I've not felt excited really about the way we've played for that long. Some people are singing it, and I personally think that singing Ollie's at the wheel is, you may as well sing Glazers are at the wheel because I think he's a puppet to protect them. I want him to succeed. I want him to beat Liverpool. I want to beat Liverpool. I want to win the next few games. I want to get in a title race. And I think if we did beat Liverpool, Spurs and Man City, we could get back into it. But that's the biggest if I've ever said. And I look at that team, Ronaldo, Rashford, Bruno, Greenwood, Sancho, Pogba, so many good players, not to mention some of the international star quality defenders we've got. And I think we should be striking fear into Liverpool at Old Trafford or Chelsea or Man City. Honestly, why is it that you just feel, you shouldn't, if we go to Anfield, I'm like, bloody hell, I'd love to win. But, if we can get a draw, it's a good result because they're a very good side and it's Anfield. Why are you coming to Old Trafford against the players that we've got and thinking, this is an opportunity? What is it? What's the problem with United that makes us such a vulnerable target that you think, it's an opportunity here?
I don't disagree with you on the caliber of footballers that are there. I'll be foolish to say otherwise, but I look at Chelsea, I look at Liverpool, I look at City, and I see every single player there understands the system, understands what's wanted of them and what's needed of them. When I have watched United, and look, I won't have watched them as much as you have, I can see the sprinkling of star quality. I know Ronaldo's going to show up in big moments. I know Fernandes can pull the strings, but I don't feel like there's a cohesive unit there that understand what the manager wants. Absolutely, they're capable of putting in a shift, and you've got players capable of turning the game on its head in a moment. But I think it'll come down to ultimately Jurgen Klopp, in my belief, getting better tactically, getting the better of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I think the only way you guys win the game is if you have that moment of brilliance or that moment or two of brilliance. None of us want the refereeing decision to decide the game, but I just feel like we are in a really good place right now. And even allowing for the fact in the Champions League, we let a 2-goal lead slip against Atletico, but still got the job done against AC Milan. I just feel they have a bit between their teeth at the minute. And I think Mo Salah is sitting at home rubbing his hands together, looking forward to running at Maguire.
It's interesting because I think, there's a lot of confidence from Liverpool. You'd expect that. I've mentioned, and I want to talk about this for a minute, and then I want to talk about the vulnerabilities of Liverpool, because every fan knows their vulnerabilities. As a United fan now, I can list them. We've got lots of vulnerabilities, but also you mentioned Ronaldo, you mentioned Bruno. I mean, some of the assists Bruno's come off with this year. I mean, he's taken 3 or 4 players out with one pass, and some of our fans don't appreciate Bruno. And he came out after the game against Atalanta and said, I'm going to keep doing it. I will give the ball away because I'm trying to do things that basically other people can't do. I'm trying to get passes to get players in, and it won't work every time, but that's what it is. We're not playing FIFA, are we? David De Gea is playing fantastically well. Cristiano Ronaldo is world class. But I also know there's a big list of vulnerabilities as well. I want to talk about that, about Liverpool, to try and give our viewers some hope. But also a little bit of hope here. This is a derby. It is. I know it's not Liverpool-Everton and it's not Man City United, but this is the biggest game in the calendar for Manchester United, and it's the same for Liverpool because we are the 2 biggest clubs in the country. We've got the biggest history. We've got the best fan bases, and money will never buy that. No matter whether we're fighting for 6th because all the billionaire clubs have come along, or we're fighting for the title, which is where it should be. And in that, I bounce it back at you and say, well, look, you can sometimes coming into this game, especially as the away team, we did it loads of times at Anfield under Sir Alex, no matter who your manager was, Houllier, whoever. It's a great leveler. We'd go to Anfield with Beckham and Keane and Scholes and God knows who was playing for you, and yet we might not win because it's Liverpool and they're up for it.
Yeah, and look, I think if I was a United fan looking for ways to get at Liverpool, we know about the fullback situation. It's going to be no big deal to say target Trent. But one thing that worried me a little bit from Liverpool defensively this season was how Ivan Toney dominated Matip and Van Dijk aerially at Brentford, and that isn't something I've seen done very often. I think the way to get at us is exactly as Brentford did it, to create overloads. And, you have somebody in Bruno Fernandes, I like to call it the Kevin De Bruyne, Steven Gerrard type balls, those deep balls to the back post and stuff. If you can create overloads there in the penalty area, and, Ronaldo's heading abilities is second to none. If you bring on Edinson Cavani, there are ways, and your pace with Rashford as well. We spoke about this at Anfield Agenda. Been a couple of runs recently from Rashford that I've thought, where does he come from? Like, he wasn't even on the screen and he's through on goal and you're thinking, has to be offside. You look at it and he's timed to run well, and we play a high line. So there are going to be opportunities if you can get Fernandes on the ball. And this is why I think the midfield battle is going to be very interesting. Because if Fernandes gets time to get his head up, he can cause problems. I know that. And I hope Thiago, if he plays, will be the same for us. I think that, I think midfield, ironically, could be the place where this game's decided, where we both know, we can talk about your attacking quartet, you can talk about our front 3, and, we could talk about them for hours. But the positions where we're probably both most worried about are probably going to be the ones that sort this game.
Yeah, and look, I don't like United playing long balls, but we do play long balls. And one thing that's very clear is that the timings of those runs, not only from Rashford, they're working on that on the training ground because it's very difficult. And as you say, it looks like he's offside a lot of the time. And sometimes it's a metre on. Like the angling of the run to go straight and then go through, very hard to pick up. And they're clearly working on that. And if Liverpool do play a high line, that's very interesting. And I think before we talk about the midfield, me and Paul Ince were talking about this. He was saying, I'd like to see United pressing Liverpool. It's Old Trafford. It's intimidating. And if you invite Liverpool to the edge of your box so you can hit the long ball, you don't really want Salah and Mane on the edge of your box because they're very close to your goal. What Ince was saying is that he'd like to see United pressuring Trent and Van Dijk and Matip on the ball, because then you're very close. It's like what Leicester did to us last week. If you pressure teams high up and you win it back with numbers, you're very close to the goal. But I think we probably will sit deeper, and therefore in the midfield, I think you'll see McTominay and Fred for their energy. What's your midfield going to be? Because I think that you're right. Well, this is where we're going to have to battle with you.
I'm hoping that from my ideal midfield for this game, I would like Fabinho, obviously Henderson and Thiago. And I know Thiago hasn't played a lot of football and he's had a stop-start to his Liverpool career. But to me, you're going to Old Trafford, you're going to want to keep the ball as much as possible. You're going to want to move it around in tight areas if United's a little bit deep. And I think Thiago could be a massive part to unlock United's defence if United, let's say, go 1-0 up and sit back a little bit or something like that. So I think those three would be who I'd like to go with in midfield. And I'm praying that I see the names McTominay and Fred on the other side of the team sheet, and I don't see the name Pogba.
Yeah. I mean, look, I can't give you an insight, and I suppose that's the thing that Klopp won't know about. But ultimately, I mean, look, this is an insight for United fans. We've spoken about this a lot. Have you ever seen Klopp in his time at United? Some of us wish he was at United if he'd never gone to Liverpool. But have you ever seen Klopp in his time at Liverpool go to back fives or adapt to opposition? Because I wouldn't know that as a Liverpool fan, but he pretty much will have his game plan, and it's up to the opposition to deal with that.
It's usually some variation of 4-3-3, to be honest with you. You know, whether it's Bobby dropping a little bit deeper, or Jota to create space in behind for Mane and Salah. No, I think we do what we do. And look, I think at times as fans, maybe we pay a little bit too much heed to formations because they're fluid in a game of football. And a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2, they can be adapted very quickly. But I still think Klopp knows what he wants. I think he knows. I think both managers probably know what the other one's going to do to some extent, but it's who executes it the best. And that's why I'm fairly confident, because as I said at the very start of the video, I think our players understand the system infinitely well. And I know you spoke about Jadon Sancho earlier on Anfield Agenda, and you said that Klopp probably wouldn't leave a player of that price tag on the bench so far. And I think maybe he would, because even with Ibrahim Konate now, or Robertson or Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, for Jurgen Klopp, until these guys are 100% ready and focused and can execute the system, just won't play them. And I think all of our boys now are just in a really good place. And I'm nervous. I'm never going to be so arrogant as to think we're going to rock up at Old Trafford and just win. But I would be very surprised if we didn't come away with at least a point.
I think that's a great point about Sancho, because some people might cling on to that and go, well, look, Klopp might not put Sancho straight in the team until he's acclimatised. But acclimatising yourself to Liverpool probably takes a bit of time. But, Pep threw Grealish in straight away. And Man City and Liverpool have a distinctive style of play. And it might take a bit of time to adjust. Manchester United don't have a style of play. We don't have a style of play. We don't have a tempo. We don't even have a best 11. So what are we trying to get Sancho to integrate into would be my question. I just think Ollie doesn't really know how to get the best out of a player that doesn't suit whatever plan he's got most of the time. One thing I do remember, though, was when Klopp played against Mourinho, and he was very frustrated that at Old Trafford we didn't want to play football. And I think it ended up, I think we ended up with like 0-0 draws a couple of times against Mourinho at Old Trafford. I wanted to just go back to Liverpool weaknesses. Are there certain types of teams that you struggle against? Are teams that like part the bus difficult for Liverpool to play against? Do you have a sort of team that suits how Liverpool want to play? Do Liverpool play better against the team that wants to play football? Is that why Klopp would get frustrated?
100%. If we go into a game that's a shootout, look at Atlanta last night for you guys as an example. Oh, that's the type of game. Bournemouth used to be the same type of game. I know we're winning that. If we play Manchester City, and it's a game of basketball, as I like to call it, if both teams come to attack, I back Liverpool to create moments of mayhem and chaos around the pitch. And you touched on it really well earlier on when you said Leicester won the ball high up the pitch. And it isn't rocket science. You win the ball high up the pitch and you're not too far away from the opposition's goal. And for Liverpool, I think we thrive in moments of chaos. And if the game is you sit back and defend and catch us on the counter, it's probably your best chance to beat us, if I'm being honest, because in those moments of mayhem, Liverpool players find that extra yard or extra space. And I think it suits us. The only way I can see United winning this game, if I'm being really honest, is to play on the counter attack and to do it well, which you are definitely capable of.
Yeah, it's our biggest strength. And last year at Anfield, I know it was no fans in the ground, but it's funny because I think that game might have been early January we played you, and I think it finished 1-1 or 0-0. And I don't remember a lot of scores from last season because it was just no fans in the ground. But it was funny because we felt we should have won that game. I remember Pogba and Bruno missed big chances, and we weren't really fancied in that game. But obviously, you had your defensive problems then. And it was funny because like people were like, oh, we nearly took the Anfield record. And then in the next month, I think you lost 3 or 4 games at home. So it's difficult to go back to that. But again, that was at Anfield. Yeah, there was no fans in the ground, but Liverpool still tried to play the way that they play. And again, we are a very good counter-attacking side. I would never deny that. We've beaten Man City. We've beaten Chelsea. We're very good as a counter-attacking side. And that is why I think we will do that on Sunday. And I don't think there's a United fan on earth that wouldn't mind you having 80% possession if we won 2-0, because it is about winning. We have to win this game. I wouldn't advise us to go toe-to-toe with you. And I don't think we will go toe-to-toe with you because, unfortunately, Man City and Liverpool are used to playing this style of football under this manager for years. We've very rarely done it under Solskjaer. So why would you go into a game that's massively important and saying, oh, I'm going to go toe-to-toe with Klopp? So, yeah, 100%.
I think Simeone got drawn into that this week, if I'm being honest with you. I think the way Atleti set up is very different to the way Atletico Madrid usually come to play. I think Klopp got into his head a little bit there, and Simeone tried to fight fire with fire. And look, the game was evenly matched, I won't lie, till the Griezmann red card, but it suited us. I would have happily had that game over going there and them sitting deep and pinching something from a set piece.
It is interesting, though, because when you look at those 2 games, you've just played Atletico Madrid, we've just played Atalanta. You've just played a team that's traditionally quite defensive, which we are at the moment, and we've just played a team that likes to attack, and we both won. So, although Atletico Madrid played a little bit different, they did play a lot of the game with 10 men as well. So you're probably quite prepped for the way we're going to play, and we're probably quite prepped to play against the team that's going to attack us as well. So anyway,
biggest game in world football, without a shadow of a doubt. People can disagree, but I think the stats back it up. It's the most watched game, I believe, in the world. So it's blockbuster, and I can't wait. I can't wait, but I'm also petrified at the same time because I don't want to get a message from you at 6:30 on Sunday going little winky emoji or something. You know what I mean? I don't want that to happen.
I'll always wait till full time. I'll tell you, one of these one of these Twitter accounts that are like taking the piss out of tweets. And I'd said, there's goals in this game. Atalanta are like an Italian Leeds. So this Twitter account decides to take the piss out of me at half time. Well, I tagged them this morning. I said, you might want to wait till 90 minutes because they were in like an Italian Leeds and we did win. And I think some football fans start trying to gloat. I never understand why people start gloating when it's not 90 minutes. It's like when Arsenal were losing 2-1 to Palace and people are taking the piss. I'm like, the game's not over yet. They could get a late equaliser. So, yeah, I do think that I agree 100%. It's the biggest game. I can't wait for it. Personally, I don't want a Super League. That's not what I'm saying. But I'd rather play Liverpool than Norwich. I'd rather play Man City than Southampton. I always like my team to play against the best teams so that you can see where you're at. But the risk of that is you look forward to it, but at full time, you might be wishing it's never happened. But I think it's going to be a draw, Craig. I've been quite consistent. What are your thoughts on this game? Do you think there'll be a lot of goals? How do you think it's going to go?
The draw is not out of the question. Of course it is. I mean, I think it's the palatable result for everybody. And you'll want to win. I want to win. All our sets of fans from both sides will want to win. But, well, I just hope, what would my prediction be? I'll back Liverpool to win 2-1, but whatever happens, I'll say the same thing. I hope it's because of individual brilliance or team brilliance and not because of an iffy decision by a referee for either side. I'm not, trying to say it will be hard done by and you'll get decisions. I hope the game's resolved and the world gets the performance from both teams that we know they're capable of. And I hope it's a good advertisement for the Premier League. And I do hope there's 7 points between us at the end of the game.
It's really interesting, because when you were saying that, I was thinking like you can win, lose and draw in so many different ways. And for me to say, oh, if we lose, that's it for me with Ollie. Somebody quite rightly messaged me this week and said, what if it's a 4-3 win for Liverpool? It's, United are losing 3-2. They get it back to 3-3, and then there's a dodgy penalty at the end, and they don't deserve to lose. Yeah, you can't live. You can't. This is why you can't live your life in absolutes. This is why I don't really like Ollie in or Ollie out in the sense of one game. It has to be based on the last 2 years and the start to this season. And there's ways of losing. We could be really unlucky and play brilliantly, and I could go, look, I've seen something there. That's the best we've played. Let's see what happens against Spurs. So yeah, you can look at it like that. But I've got to say, a draw is not a great result for Manchester United. It's not. We need to win simply because when Liverpool Man United's over, you're still in a title race. If we draw with you, we've taken 2 points from 12, and we've still got City to play in 2 weeks. We have to win. I would rather win 1-0 and not deserve it than draw 4-4 and have the best game the Premier League has ever had, because 3 points are more important than one. And that's the ridiculous situation we're in. So, yeah, I'm not saying I'd rather lose than draw. I don't want to lose, but I desperately want to win this game. We've got to find a way. And you say, I don't want it to go one way or the other on a dodgy decision. To be honest with you, if Anthony Taylor gives us a dodgy penalty and we don't deserve it and we win 1-0, I would take that over the best 4-4 we've ever seen.
Oh, mate, look, if that happened to us as well, I'd be gloating to you in 20 minutes. Don't worry about that. It's, context is important, but it's the one, isn't it? It's the one that's going to make or break our entire week. You know, our families are probably looking at this, and your wife and my wife are probably going, I hope to God they don't lose it.
I think for United, it's a season definer. It really is. For you, it's not. I think if you win...
for me, it's about the rivalry. It's just about, that's the fixture I look for.
I do think if you win, it's like, we really are in for the title, which you probably think anyway. If we lose... Basically, I mean, I don't think we're in a title race anyway, but we're definitely not if we lose to you at home, because we've still got to go to Anfield. So, and I can't see us going to Anfield and winning, even if we improve. So I think we have to win. We can win, and I just hope it is a great leveler, and I hope Liverpool don't have a good day and we have a really good day.
It's all set up, isn't it? It really is all set up for Sunday afternoon.
Looking forward to it. Anyway, mate, very, very grateful for you coming on. Anfield Agenda, I've done a video with them. That's where people can find you.
Absolutely, yeah. And looking forward to the game. And no doubt we'll exchange messages and that afterwards. And one of us will be gloating and the other one won't. One of us will be hiding.
Well, Drawty was desperate for us to do a joint watch-along like this. And I was like, how would that work? He'd have all his chat. I'd have all my chat. Wouldn't get a word in edgeways. It would just.
I think it would be interesting, though. I think maybe we look at it for the Anfield game. It would be interesting to just... It would be different. It would be different. I'd even fly over and do it with you guys if need be. Yeah, it'd be good fun. It'd be good fun, but...
It would have to physically do it in the same room.
Yeah,
I think
I agree. It would be good fun, though. And, Drawty's great with the ideas, isn't he? He's a good man. I like Ben.
He is. And, well, look, thanks for coming on, mate. Really great to have you on. I would wish you good luck, like you've said to me many times, but that would be bullshit. All I can say is I hope we win.
And I hope you don't. But thank you for having me on, mate. I've had great fun.
No worries. Thanks, mate. We'll speak to you soon. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Make sure you smash the like on the video. We're live again at 8 o'clock tonight. And obviously tomorrow's the big day. And yeah, bring it on. But not quite yet. I'm not quite ready for it yet. I just want it to build. And I think the anticipation is always the best. But we need to be ready. And I'm sure we will be. And let's see what happens. Cheers, Craig.
No worries, dude.